Hello, dear students. This is Professor John Forsyth. Today we are going to go over Chapter 5 of the text that we're using for this class. And I am back to using PyCharm because I like using it a little bit better. It's a little bit easier and highlighting. So I have my demo file here inside my Ling 360 Demos folder. And that's the tab right here I've got open, so I can type some code here. So Chapter 5 goes over what are called Boolean expressions. So just a quick history. There's a British mathematician named Charles Boole, after who Boolean is the name Boolean is comes from. So Boolean just basically means like a true or false value. So he came up with like some mathematical logic. There's your history lesson for today. But so in order to write Boolean expressions, true or false expressions in Python, there's several different operators that we can use. So we could say like 1 equals 2, which is false. But this is really kind of like testing if this is true. It's not so much like a mathematical statement, but it's like a test. So we're saying, is 1 equal to 2? And we can actually print the truth value of that, whether that's true or false. So if we print that, gotta move my controls here. Oh, here we go. So let's play that, and it says that that is false. So, and notice we're using double equals because we're not doing an assignment. We're just comparing these two values. And I guess you could kind of think of it as this is a statement saying like 1 is equal to 2, and that's actually false. If we change our values here so that they are equal and we play that, it will return true. Notice Python uses a capital first letter for true and false. That's something unique to Python, or particular to Python. Other languages might do that too. But we can compare all kinds of different numbers. We can see if 3 is greater than 2. If we play that, we're going to get true. There's also the greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to. So all your typical mathematical comparisons will work for numbers in Python. You can also use strings like cat, is that equal to cat? And that's going to return true. If we say, is cat less than dog, that actually gives you a true. This is doing a comparison by alphabetical order, and cat comes before dog in a dictionary, and so the less than kind of means like this is before that, so that actually returns you a true value. If we were to reverse that, saying that cat is after dog in a dictionary or greater than, that would be false. So it's kind of like a little weird quirk, or a weird way to compare strings. You may or may not find that useful at some point in time. We can also do multiple comparisons. We can say, are these two things, well, we could say like, is cat less than dog, or is 1 equal to 1? And so this is going to check both sides of the or, and it's going to return true, even though this one was false. But this is a little bit of an obtuse example. So let's make something that's obviously not true, like 2 equals 1. So this kind of splits the two Boolean expressions. We're saying like 2 equals 1, which is false, or, so this or says, okay, well, if this is false, go ahead and check this side. So we're saying either one or the other, or both, are true. So if we play that, that returns us true. If we were to change this to also be false, so that now both sides of the or are false, we're going to get false. We can use and as well, and this states that both sides are true. So in order for this to return true, both sides have to be true. So 2 does equal 2, 3 does equal 3. If we play that, we get true because the whole thing, this and this, is true. So far this is kind of boring. We're just printing different Boolean values, true, false, or Boolean values. How can this be useful? Well, we can use this to control the operation of our program. So we could say if, well, let's start with a variable. So let's say we have x equals 1. And then we want to say if x equals 1, we use colon just as we do with for loops to start the body of our if. So if this is true, print x is equal to 1. So if we run that, it will say x is equal to 1. So this if statement, basically whatever you write, the expression you create or write immediately after if needs to be a Boolean expression, like something that's either true or false. So if we were to make this false by changing x to be equal to 2, so now we're saying 2 equals 1, that's false, and this is not going to print, okay? So if we play that, it prints nothing. Sometimes you want to have an option though, like if this is not true, then we have some other code that will run. So you can do that with something called an else statement in Python, and I need to indent that and put a colon. So now if this is true, you can kind of read this in English, thinking if this expression is true, then run this code. Here we just have one print statement. We could put more. As with for loops, you can print lots of stuff. We could print an exclamation point. Else is like the alternative. So if this ended up being false, then we have our alternative code, which x is not equal to 1. So if I run that, x is not equal to 1. It's 2, and 2 checks out as false here because it does not equal 1. There's also another operator where you can kind of reverse this. I could say exclamation point equals 1, and what this kind of weird combination of symbols means is not. You could read the exclamation point as not equals. So x does not equal 1 is the statement I'm making here, and the if will check if that's true or false. So in this case it's true because x is equal to 2. So now my messages are wrong. I need to switch them around. So x is not equal to 1. Let's delete that print. And this one's gonna be, the opposite. I'm just gonna say blah to put something there. Okay. So now if I run that, I didn't change the value of x. I just changed the truth expression, or the Boolean expression, to say x does not equal 1. And because of that, it prints my x is not equal to 1 code in the body of this if statement. Sometimes there's many things we want to check. Maybe we want to check if x has like some greater than value or less than value. So we could say if x is less than 1, print less than 1. And if we want to do multiple checks, we can do an expression called elif, and then we'll say like if x is less than 2, and then if it's neither of those, we can do our else again. Notice I needed to do a colon after each of these statements. So elif. This is, by the way, if you didn't catch, this is short for else if. And that basically just adds another if statement so that either this is going to run, this code, if this evaluates to true, If it does not, it'll check this to see if that evaluates to true, which if it does, it'll run this. And if that does not, we can have a final else. We could have multiple elifs or else if, but in this case, I'm just going to put one, and I'm going to say x is greater than 2. So if I run that, it checks each of these expressions right after if, right after elif, and then the else does not have any expression to check, it's just the default. But perhaps you want to be really explicit and have like an explicit default. You could end it with an elif followed by an expression. So we could say that check if x is less than 6. Then this will run. X is less than 6. So change our message there to be just a little bit accurate. So it checks each of these Boolean expressions. The final one evaluates to true, and it prints this. Now if that did not evaluate to true, say our x value was 10, and we ran that, it would not print any statements because all those statements are wrapped up in Boolean expressions that need to pass in order for this code to pass. So, but if I did want to have a default that will always run if none of the above options are true, again, that's the else with no expression afterwards. Okay, so let's use this newfound knowledge of using if expressions and elif else expressions in order to run some different code. So for this example, I'm just going to have a list of numbers. We'll call it numbers, and let's have 5 numbers is good. And we're going to do a for loop this time, okay? So we're going to say for our number, I'll just call it num. For num in numbers, we want to do something. And rather than printing every single number like this, I'll run this just as a quick review from last video. That'll print all 5. But let's say we only want to print the numbers that are greater than 3. So I can do an if expression here and say if, so notice this is indented inside of the for loop, so this is going to be 2 levels of indentation. So here's my first level. If the number is greater than 3, then go ahead and print my number. And I'm just doing print as kind of a simple thing that we're familiar with. I could have all kinds of different code ran here inside this, indented below this if, which itself is indented before the for loop. So this will check each number. Is it greater than 3? Then if that's true, print it. If not, don't do anything. And then at the very end, I can say that I checked all numbers. So this is not indented at all, so it's not part of the for loop, nor part of the if expression or statement. So if I run that, it only evaluates 4 and 5 to true because those 2 numbers are greater than 3, and then so it only prints those 2. So that is a little bit of how to use if, else, and combining those with for loops. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next video.